Welcome back to Bridge 4. Before we move on to part 2 of the mapping series, let's highlight one specific passage in regards to natural protections that are afforded the people of the two rivers. As we went over in part 1 of the mapping series of the Wheel of Time, the peddler Pan Fein, he arrived into town and notified everyone that there's war in Gil-Dong, that the standard of the dragon had been raised and men flocked to oppose and to support. On back of that, a party of Aes Sedai had ridden south from Tar Valon to handle the false dragon. This worried everyone in town, including the boys, because they had heard bad stories about the Aes Sedai, most notably the breaking of the world. Supposedly, the dragon may have started it, but it was the Aes Sedai who actually broke the world. Okay, so here's the two rivers, and we've got two issues. First, there's the alleged war in Gil-Dong, which, as you can see, is south of the two rivers, but pretty close, relatively speaking, in terms of the map as a whole. And second, there is a party of Aes Sedai riding south to take care of the dragon, who is the catalyst of the war in Gil-Dong. As you can see, the two rivers lies on the Aes Sedai's path southwest to Gil-Dong. That is why the council had rushed inside to speak with Pan Fein. They wanted to get more detail, if possible, and then come up with a plan as to how to best take care of the two rivers, which may be in danger. When the Gleeman woke up and he ran downstairs and then got chased outside by Nynaeve, he went on to tell Egwene and the boys that the dragon and the Aes Sedai, that's old news even in Baerlon, which is up here, quote, and Baerlon is the last place in the world to hear anything. He paused, looking around the village, and dryly added, almost the last place. So basically, the beginning of Book 1 sets up the two rivers as a very remote place. They live in their own little bubble, so to say. The downside being that they rarely get news about happenings around the world, except when someone like Pan Fein comes around, which is usually just once a year. However, the upside to them living in their own little bubble here in the two rivers is that they don't have to get involved with things like wars and whatnot with the rest of the world. So why is that? Why don't many people travel through the two rivers? The reason is because it has three forms of natural protection, quote, there were three reasons why no one came into the two rivers except from the north by way of Taran Ferry. The Mountains of Mist in the west were the first, of course, and the mire blocked the east just as effectively. To the south was the White River, which got its name from the way rocks and boulders churned its swift waters to froth, and beyond the White lay the Forest of Shadows. Few two rivers folk had ever crossed the White, and fewer still returned if they did. It was generally agreed, though, that the Forest of Shadows stretched south for 100 miles or more without a road or a village, but with plenty of wolves and bears. So that's why Rand's father Tam, he came out of the village council meeting and he told the boys that they did not expect the Aes Sedai to come through the two rivers on their way south to Gil-Dong. And as for the return journey, they weren't likely to want to cross the Forest of Shadows and swim the White River. So all of this begs two questions. The town had bought fireworks from the peddler, Pan Fein, and the town had hired the Gleeman for Beltane. But considering how remote a place the two rivers is, with seemingly only one way in and out, the north, then why were Moiraine and Lan there? And more importantly, who was the Cloaked Rider that several of the town boys had seen? Was he a refugee from war? Or something worse? All those questions will be answered in the next few chapters, which will be part 2 of the Mapping of the Wheel of Time series, next Friday.